Oh, we're live. This is so fun.
Yay, we're doing it. You're doing it, Peter. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Mended Light.
That was a reference to Hook.
Uh-huh.
If your childhood was not in the, what was that, early 90s?
It was early 90s, yeah.
Yeah. If your childhood was not in the early 90s.
I love referencing late 80s, early 90s movies because those are the ones you know.
I know those ones. Solid decade for me that I know.
All right.
Some pop culture.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to our Mended Light moments for June 2023, in which we celebrate you, our Mended Light community, and your successes in working through trauma and managing and healing your relationships, in powering through and growing in your mental and emotional health. And we want to know, for those of you who are joining us and don't know what the heck this is, we're looking to know from you, one, what are your successes this month? What are your wins that we can celebrate with you? And two, how has Mended Light touched your life? Right?
Yay.
All right.
Yeah.
And we're gonna.
And we do this once a month.
Mhm.
And we also love to share what we have coming up in our membership. And then do some fun giveaways for our membership. And if you don't know what our membership is, we will chat about it some more. But yeah, we try and do this like the first week of every single month. It's not the exact time or day every day.
It varies.
Yeah, because our life just is what it is. But we will always schedule it. So be on the lookout for it if you're into this.
Soma Bruft says hello, first time on the Q&A. Hello, Soma. Montague says hi. Hi, Montague. And Raina, bunch of numbers, says hello. Sonar says hello there, guys. Sonar Illusion Fox, and more people will be coming.
And what we also love to do, so today we're on a kind of type. I can talk. Today we are on kind of a tight time schedule. We have lots of things going on. It's oldest son's birthday. We have to leave at like 5 o'clock in the morning to go film YouTube content.
Yeah, tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning.
We have a flight to catch. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and house projects.
Yeah, we're trying to build some bunk beds.
And in about an hour, we're going live for our members. For an hour-long Q&A on what gives your life meaning. So today we're going to be celebrating your successes. We're going to announce some giveaway winners, and we're going to answer some questions live on the air. But this is shorter. Our members, There's the full live. So go to mendedlight.com/25 and sign up for our monthly membership to get a bunch of exclusive content, including relationship, trauma, and mental health courses, video courses. A book club that we do, a virtual book club where we do podcasts every week on the chapters we're reading. And then at the end of the month, we all get together virtually with you on camera and discuss it. So
if you're into one-on-one time, that's basically you get some one-on-one time.
And well, what's really cool about our book club is it's a book club you don't actually have to read the book for.
Yeah, you could just listen to where we discuss the book. Like you can totally read the book, but you can just listen to us discuss it and then show up for the live discussion.
Right. So if you read it or are listening to it, even better, but not even better, great. But if you also just want to do that, we have that for you.
And as Jonathan said, it's important that you go to mendedlight.com/25 because that's where you get half off the membership. We've had some people sign up just by going to the website, which is awesome. But if you're going to sign up, get half off. Get the deal. So yeah, like I was saying, we do these lives on YouTube once a month, typically the first week of the month. We're going to have to keep this one shorter at 30 minutes though. And as Jonathan said, we won't be able to answer everybody's questions today, but if you have questions, put them in the chat. We're going to get to as many as we can along with all that other stuff. So
couple wins so far already. Ethesia Diaz says, this month I've been more easy with myself since I'm always super strict.
I love that. I relate to that.
I was going to say, that's kind of your journey right now.
Yeah. So our next couple of months, we actually have 2 books, but our focus is self-compassion, right? Because you cannot judge yourself into growth. You cannot judge yourself into self-love and understanding and acceptance, right?
Right.
So self-compassion is a key component to healing, but it's also a key component to changing for the better, because you do not what's the word I'm looking for?
Flagellate?
Yeah, self-flagellate yourself
you
into
can't
growth.
punish yourself into growth.
Right.
I mean, I guess you can, but it won't be actual growth.
No.
It'll be surface level.
It actually doesn't work. That's one of the things that these books on self-compassion go into. Is you cannot bully yourself into changing, which we so often do.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
And okay. Amy Kerfansky says, when handling some difficult relationships with more grace. Thank you. That's awesome.
Thank you, Amy. I will tell our son that you said happy birthday. So he turns 17. Like in a year from today, I'm going to have an adult child. And every time I say that to myself, like I start rocking a little bit. Like, I don't know how it's going to go. Like, I don't know.
She also says that she loved the Eloise Bridgerton relationship video. Listen, Eloise is the best character.
She's great.
By far.
She's so fun.
Are you a tall couple?
Are we tall? I don't know. I mean, you're 6 foot.
I'm 6 foot and you're 5'7".
And I'm 5'7". Does that make us tall? I always wanted to be 5'9". I didn't quite get there.
And her 5-inch heels. Separating from my husband's been very tough. We have 2 kids, and I'm working hard to do more with them and make sure that they understand that me and my husband love them very much.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. And we're sorry for separation. By the time it happens, you might be happy about it, but getting there,
even when it's the best thing for everyone, it's challenging. As someone who's been there, even if it's the best thing for everyone, it's challenging.
And as you've seen in our videos, our marriage problems videos, we've almost been there several times. So yeah. Oh man, they're all rolling in. Okay, well, what do we want? Do we want to? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do 2 to 3 more minutes of wins, and then maybe let's answer some questions, and then we'll do giveaways towards the end.
Okay.
If we do that, did we leave anything out? Did we do everything? I think
no. Elijah had a bad dream and is awake, and now here we are on the live. So I'm sorry you had a bad dream. Hopefully we can bring you some comfort. Soma has been learning more about themselves, both positive and work on this month. Raina did their first 5K this month.
Woohoo! I've never run that far in my entire life.
Clara,
so kudos to the runners out there.
Clara ordered Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway because Clara has a big surgery coming up, and because of that, the book has been helping.
Oh, that's awesome.
So in our Illusion Fox, which is a super cool name, been struggling with depression, went on holiday, had to come home early due to illness. The only thing helping is medication. Sorry you had to come home. Glad you're getting the meds you need. Crazy 3 Kev, win getting over social anxiety, fears, and volunteering at a local homeless shelter. I've done homeless shelter work.
That's awesome.
It's very good work.
Well, and there's such a power in doing something that overcomes your fear, but also serves other people, right? Like it's a double win, right? Like even though it's hard for you, which is a win, but then also being able to serve someone else. I love that.
Aline, can you recommend a book about the stages of grief and how to kind of deal with them? Yes, we actually did a course on our membership on grief based on when the backbone of that course was the book On Grief and Grieving by David Kepler and Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. So that's the book I would recommend. But if you really want to deep dive, I know this sounds like I'm shilling for the membership, but really, like, we create this content to help. Right. And so this is a low cost opportunity to
so
get
support. We have the podcast and the book discussion for the book, and then we also have a course on grief.
A full course on grief. Yeah. Those just joining us is mendedlight.com/25 to get 50% off. Courtney started first job since 2022 on Friday. Awesome.
Oh, I'm just wondering if we want to put that link in the comments.
I did.
Oh, good. Look at you knowing how to use YouTube.
But I can go in and pin it in a second once I get through these questions and these. Okay. Soma, again, thanks for recommending Wednesday. Great show on Neurodivergent Lead. Yes, it is. Dark Wolf, my success isn't really mine, but it helps. Dad told me he finally knows what my anxiety attacks are like because he is having them. Not the same, but I said I appreciate the empathy. That's great. I mean, not great that you're... It's great that your dad's having anxiety attacks.
No, but we all. So I was discussing with a friend about the power in witnessing, right? The need to be seen and as who we really are, and to be understood, and then to be accepted for that, right? And he was giving a speech on all you need is a witness, and that's what creates connection. Like that creates, and it's vulnerable, right? And the reason we're scared to be vulnerable because at times in our life we have been vulnerable and it wasn't safe, right? And so learning to recognize like what you need, recognizing when you have a safe space or a safe person, or it looks like there might be, and then the courage to be vulnerable and to be a little bit vulnerable, maybe not all the way vulnerable, whatever you feel, right? But it's okay to just be vulnerable in steps, and to share part of yourself and to be seen and heard and understood, right?
I love it. I don't have anything to add to that. You crushed it. Pound it. All right. Catherine says, finish first 2 weeks of antidepressant, and now I'm letting people know that I need help. Back then I always keep and don't ask for help from other people. Yep, asking for help is huge. It takes a lot of courage. And once you step into it and people love you and they're there for you, it's not that scary. But it takes a lot to take that step. We got a question from Raina. So Raina, I'm going to come back to you when we answer questions in a minute on this one. Courtney, we got three more of these, and then we can go transition over to our others. It is with my local Easter Seals Child Development Center, is the work that she's doing. Broken Wings. Oh, I love this. Leisha, check this out. I saw your last live and asked about how to deal with bipolar rage and abandonment. You guys really helped me change my behavior, and my relationship with my boyfriend and family has gotten better. Thank you. Aw, our lives make a difference. I mean, our live events make a difference, and our lives make a difference. Your life makes a difference. Everybody. Okay, listen. All right, here we go. He says, trying to decide between psychology and dancing. I was trying to decide between psychology and film. I can relate. Choose whatever brings you joy. Okay. Sonar Illusion Fox is taking up music again. And Michaela loves our videos, found us through cinema therapy. And Courtney is starting a nonprofit for those with disabilities, which is awesome. Okay, love it. I have some other wins that were submitted to read if you're still compiling. Are you still compiling? Do you need a second?
No, we were going to move on to asking questions.
Oh, sorry. Questions is next. Okay, we did. Okay, so let's do a little Q&A, guys. Reina says, how do you mend? Reina means queen. You know that because when we go to our favorite Mexican restaurant, Maria always calls you
my reina.
Mi reina.
Mi reina.
Mi reina.
My Spanish
queen.
Is.
Your Spanish is good. Your Spanish is especially good when we're in Mexico.
It helps when I can hear other people speaking.
How do you mend a relationship between a stepmom? She's been there since day one, and I had an abusive mom growing up. So I was taught to hate her. We butt heads a lot. What can I do? Okay, so you were taught to hate her. So what it sounds like you're saying, Reina, is that early on, because of what you were taught, maybe you were a big part of butting heads. Is what I'm getting from this. Not just you, obviously she's part of that. But so what I'd say to this is always in relationships, take ownership for you. Keep your side of the street clean. I love that phrase, right? If you got a neighbor across the street, their house is a mess, their sidewalk's a mess, what can you do? Keep your side of the street clean. And in relationships, that looks like they may have things I want them to apologize for. They may have things I want them to own. They may have things I want them to change. But the fact is, you can't determine any of that. What you can do is keep your side of the street clean. And if you apologize and take ownership and express that you'd like to have a relationship and that you are sorry for especially if you can get specific on things that may have been hurtful, then you leave the ball in their court. And what I've seen is that people who are ready, and sometimes it comes down to maturity and sometimes it comes down to what they're carrying inside, right? That they may have to work through. But if they're ready and if they're mature enough, then they'll meet you there and be accountable as well. And then you can create a new relationship and start fresh. And if they're not ready, it could be maturity. It could be they're carrying a lot of pain that they're working through. Then they'll meet you when they're ready. I had a family member just recently that mended fences with me after I've been trying to mend fences for years. And by mend fences, I mean they didn't like me and I didn't do anything to them. They just didn't like my existence.
and they literally said that multiple times. Like that's not you just making stuff.
No, because I said, I know there's bad blood here and I don't know what I did, but I want to make things right. And if I did anything that was offensive, I'm sorry. And I'd like to know what it was so I can change the behavior. And they straight up told me, no, it's not you. You haven't done anything. I just don't like you and I don't know why. And they were mean to me. They were like,
and that makes everybody feel warm and fuzzy.
They were mean to me and passive aggressive to me for years. But I kept my side of the street clean. And then I said, I can't have a close relationship with this person because I can't trust them. And just recently they started to grow through that. Like, you never know. All you can do is take care of your side of things.
Yeah. And you can work towards repairing, but only, once again, because the safety component is so important, only if it's safe to do so. And your example that you just shared was really powerful, because you work towards repairing, you took that first step, but it was never safe to go any further. So he didn't keep putting himself in hurtful or unsafe situations.
Yeah.
And that didn't mean it didn't ever hurt. Like, there were times that it was like, it was upsetting.
This person still found a way to hurt me.
Yeah. Well, it was an immediate family member. So you can't always
avoid that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I have a question. How do you handle overwhelm, dealing with tough issues, but not wearing yourself out by crying all the time? I think everybody needs to have their cathartic release, their cathartic or relaxing release. I have thoughts, but
yeah, I have lots of thoughts. He's like,
I thought you might, but go ahead.
He's like, as someone who regularly puts themselves in a place of overwhelm, I think sometimes, and not I think, I know a lot of times we have expectations about what we should be able to do, or what's normal, or even what we used to be able to do, right? Like, maybe we've put ourselves in a place of overwhelm for so long, or maybe we've had hurtful, hard situations and it's still wearing on our nervous system, and we just bury it, and we bury it and bury it. And at some point it's going to come out, because the truth is, as hard as it is in our best interest to confront our wounds, to deal with our insecurities, to recognize, why is this situation overwhelming me, right?
Yeah.
Probably because the emotion's tied to it. And we don't run from overwhelm because we're not strong, or necessarily just because we're scared. A lot of times we don't know what to do with it, right? And so our coping mechanism is to hide, pretend, push it away. And at some point, when you're in a safe enough place to address it, that's what we need to do. We need to address it. And so I would say, first, let it be okay that you're overwhelmed, right? That sounds counterintuitive, but like, radical acceptance, accept that you're at wherever you're at, show yourself love and compassion and understanding. You have to show yourself that love and compassion and understanding first, and then lean into it after you've spent enough time in love and compassion and understanding. And we never leave that spot. We just add other steps onto it, right? And then lean into it and be like, no, why is this really upsetting for me? Like, what really is going on? What is the core emotion underneath this? Like, what is the wound? And then seek to meet that need, right? Meet the need underneath the wound. And that is a slow process of reprogramming your mind and your nervous system into, how do I deal with this in my life? And that very well may look like doing less than you used to do, or putting space in relationships, more space than you used to have, right? And that's not a space you're going to stay in forever. But this is something that's really been showing up in my life lately, that I've been in a constant state of what I call chronic overachieving, that I really need some just long-term time and space in my life to rest, because I haven't had that. And so look at the wound that's underneath the overwhelm, and then look at the need that's in the wound, and then ask yourself, okay, how can I meet that need in a healthy, loving way?
No, okay. It was great. I'm sorry. I was scanning the other questions so I could answer them.
No, you're good. I just I try to be succinct, because I can be like, oh, let me talk about this for the next half hour.
No, that was fantastically succinct, and I knew you had it, and I trusted you completely. So I was just moving on to the others. Okay. In the interest of time, folks, I'm going to answer all these questions, but I'm going to give you rapid fire, shoot from the hip answers.
Or if we have videos or resources on them, you could.
And I'll point you to videos and resources. And as always, again, we have, what we do on YouTube is the free option. Like,
right.
We put it out there because we want to help, right? But we do go more in depth in our courses, our video courses. We do go more in depth in our monthly book club podcast, audio podcast that we do. and we give you like longer, more personal access, even more than this. There's fewer people, so there's a lot of one-on-one on our membership site, on our live Q&As. So if you are digging this is kind of like the cost. It's on our end, it's the Costco free sample, but again, it's also here to help. But if you are looking for more, go to mendedlight.com /25, and you can get 50% off that membership. But here we go. I'm gonna go through these, not as fast as I can, and do them some sort of justice. Montague, going through some big changes, going into adulthood, turning 20 next month. Holla, good for you, happy birthday. And have grown apart from friends that I grew up with. It's been pretty hard. Any tips? Yeah, the fact is, that's normal. I did have a period where I didn't want to form new relationships because I'm like, what's the point? We'll be friends for a while, then we'll grow apart. What I realized is if you treat relationships like there are a handful that are long haul, ride or die relationships, and then there's other relationships where you're meant to be in each other's lives for a season and to influence each other for good and to give each other good memories and to be there for each other. And then it's bittersweet, but it's not such a tragic loss. And the fact is also, if you grow apart because of bad blood or things like that, you can try and reconcile. If you grow apart because of life, my experience is, if you grow over if you push through the awkwardness of, hey, we haven't talked in a while, most people that you used to be close with they love reconnecting. Have you found that to be the case?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I had so you and I went through high school and then college. Social media wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until what, early 20s, mid 20s?
In our mid 20s, my late 20s, your mid 20s, that Facebook started to show up, and
right. And so I had
before that was MySpace, but man.
Yeah. Back in the day.
That's how old we are.
Yeah. Yeah. So the reality is, you ask yourself the question, am I the same person today that I was yesterday? Well, no, not exactly, right? And so we all change day by day, and that change gets bigger by week, by month, by year. And then you're in a point in your life where you're moving from a place of adolescence to an adult. Sometimes we want to change and we want to be different. And people that our lives were really aligned with before, maybe they're not so aligned. And you can recognize the joy of once being close with them, and then the bitter that your lives are taking different paths, right? And you can cherish the friendship that you had, even if it's not going to be a forever friendship, right? And I was engaged, and I was in my 20s, and I ran into just a really good friend. Like, our lives were super close. Like, we grew up in the same neighborhood, like we worked together, like all the things, right? And I hadn't seen him for a couple of years, and I ran into him at a restaurant. And it was like so surprising, because it was so this was before social media. To chat with him, had a good probably 10-minute conversation, and it was such an interesting experience as I walked away, because I was like, he was an integral part of my daily life, for 10, 15 years. And I hadn't seen him in years. And, and just, that was my first experience with like that bittersweet of like, we move on and we grow, and that's how life is intended to be.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid of making relationships and making connections because of that.
Well, and you create these wonderful memories, and like we're saying, you can always reconnect. My best friends growing up, I'm still very close with them, but we don't talk on the phone ever. What happens is about twice a year, I'm like, hey, I'm in town, let's hang out, and we get dinner, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And then we go back to our lives, right? Yeah. And that's
it's a part of life.
Yeah.
And but you're at a stage where that's like hitting you for the first time, right?
It may sound callous to say you'll get used to it, but you'll get used to it.
Well, and that's also the beauty of social media, because I'm friends with most of those people that were my dear friends in high school and my dear friends in college, and very few to none of them do we have any sort of regular connection now. But I appreciate
that you can still keep tabs.
Yeah, I appreciate that we can still be connected.
Social media isn't completely the devil. Okay, hello everyone. Having trouble with intrusive thoughts. Do you have any advice? Yes, I'm going to do this one really quickly. You know how when you've got an injury, you can heat it and then ice it and go back and forth. And even though they're two opposite things, they both help for different reasons. With intrusive thoughts, there are things to do to distract yourself in a healthy, positive way, healthy distractions, just to kind of bring yourself down. There's also, on the opposite end, acknowledging those thoughts and putting them somewhere. And I think journaling is a great option for that. I think venting to a therapist, to a friend. Sometimes I just go in the car and I talk to nobody, right? Or I talk to myself, right? Which sounds schizophrenic, but it's really just me saying, okay, I'm going to work this out. And if it's just in my head, I have a hard time working it out. I need to talk it out. And so again, you can distract yourself with movies, TV shows, video games, fun, reading, getting exercise, having fun. You can distract yourself and bring the anxiety down, or you can also acknowledge and work through them.
Doing it in a way that serves you,
yeah.
Right? Like when the high arousal moment, it's like, okay, work with a healthy distraction coping mechanism,
yes.
And then move into potentially when you're ready, when it's safe.
When you're not highly emotionally flooded. Because yes, there's a difference between distracting yourself and avoidance.
Yeah.
And distraction is to lower that high emotional flooding, that arousal. Avoidance is I just don't want to deal with it. And you need to know the difference. How do you prepare to engage in civil conflict? We have a course called Closeness Through Conflict on our membership site. I'll give you a gem from that right now. But if you really want to dive into how to navigate conflict in a way that brings you closer together, Closeness Through Conflict is a course on our membership site, mendedlight.com/25. Okay, so I would say recognize that everyone's behavior makes sense to them. Everyone's perspective makes sense to them. But even more importantly, recognize that most people, they think they run on logic, but they're actually running on emotion. And if you try and correct someone's thinking, speaking, or behavior, they're going to fight you because they're convinced that they're right. But you may disagree with what someone's thinking, saying, or doing, but you can't really disagree with a feeling because a feeling just is. So the first step is to understand what they're feeling. Ask them how it makes them feel, or say something like, if it were me, like think it through, imagine yourself in their shoes and say, if it were me, if I came from your background, or if I were in your situation, if it were me, I would likely feel, and then lay it out and say, is that what it feels like for you? And they can say, yes, that's exactly what it feels like. Or they can say, no, for me, it's a little different. Here's what it's like. And you go, oh, okay. But when you join with someone on what they're feeling and you validate the emotion, again, you may not be able to validate thinking, words, or behavior, but you can always validate a feeling. People feel heard and understood, and they're more willing to hear your perspective on things, and you can find a middle ground.
Yeah. And the key is always to start from a place of calm. So if there has been a conflict and you're not at a place of calm, the first step is always to stop and calm down.
Because what I just outlined, you cannot do unless you're calm. Yeah. Unless you're sweet.
Actually calm, not like, I'm calm, it's fine.
I'm calm! Again, Closeness Through Conflict is a whole 1.5-hour course that we have that will take you through that much more in depth. How can I express my feelings when I have an anxiety attack? I always struggle to talk when suffering one. Everyone struggles to talk when having an anxiety attack. It's one of the defining traits of an anxiety attack. What I would say is express them before. The people who are in your circle who may be present when you have an anxiety attack, as much as you can, prep them. Hey, when this is happening, this is what I'm feeling and this is what I need. So when it's happening, they're not saying what's going on or what do you need. There's already a plan in place. Or just do this and then take whatever time you need to work through it. And then afterwards have kind of a debrief. Like I think.
And having your own plan for yourself of like, here's what helps me during an anxiety attack.
Or you could even have like a little laminated card in your wallet that tells what's going on with you when you're having an anxiety attack. You can pull it out and just be like, here's what's going on and here's what I need, right, on the different sides of the card.
Or maybe like a image saved to your phone.
Yeah. Since people have their phones all the time. I already have a psychiatrist. Would you say it's helpful or harmful to have more therapy? Is there such a thing as having too many hands in the kitchen, too many cooks in the kitchen? It's okay if your therapists are serving different purposes, right? So if you're dealing with mental illness and also relationship problems, relationship struggles, or maybe you're dealing with trauma, like you may see specialists in those different areas because most people don't specialize in all three truly, right? You can find some people who are very skilled at wearing the different hats. In cases like that, what you want to do is sign a consent form for them to communicate with each other, because what you don't want them doing is pulling in opposite directions, and what one person's advising you to do versus the other doesn't match up, and then it's just like adding to the anxiety. I think it's okay to have more than one counselor. You just need to let them coordinate with each other. And again, sometimes you find people who are very skilled at exactly what you need, in which case it's not a question of needing more counselors. Maybe you need more counseling. Or maybe what you need is, I mean, in our case, we do a combination of counseling with online courses. We have a trauma course called Innate Healing that you take in conjunction with meeting with your counselor, either in group or in individual setting. And you can work through in counseling, and then at home through your video courses, you work through the
you learn the principles. You learn the principles and the skills.
You learn the principles and the skills at home, and then in session, it's all about application and troubleshooting, right? And so
you can spend as much time going over the principles and skills, revisiting them, so on and so forth, and you get a much higher quality experience without the one-on-one cost of just seeing the therapist.
So if you think that might be a fit for you, you can go to mendedlight.com and you can schedule a complimentary 15-minute consultation with one of our counselors. And then they'll talk with you about what you're going through. They'll give you some advice and counsel in the moment, and then they'll explore future options with you and see what's a fit. So there's that. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, we are going to do our fun little giveaways for our membership site winners. So we have some merch, and we're coming out with some more merch. And I'm sorry, it's not large scale enough for us to like put it on a website and sell it yet. But you can win it. So I love this water bottle that our graphic designer member of the team put together. It says, "Woo,
there you go.
I am enough," and it even says it on the lid.
It's backwards on the camera.
It may or may not, but it says "I'm enough," and people can read it backwards. And that comes with
in real life, it's not backwards.
It's not backwards in real life,
and it's in cursive, which is a real nice feature. The ancient language.
It's not all the way in cursive. Anyway, as I was saying, we have some fun stickers that comes with like going to therapy is cool, which our daughter has on her personal water bottle, which always makes me smile. When I see her little going to therapy is cool sticker. So that's what's going out to our membership site winners. And so if you are one of the winners or just celebrate with us, so R. Wong and C. Nichols and M. Clements and A. Barassa and K. Corey. So those are people who won those. And I think we're like wrapping up. I think we've
hold it up
with this, and we're gonna have to. It comes in a little gift box with all the goodies, and so we have to come with another our next goodie box.
Well, I like the one that says "Going to therapy is cool."
Yeah. Our merch, and we're wanting to do more merch, and we're wanting to do some not like art contests, but like themed like design, like self-expression design. Anyways, it's been on my mind for months. But we'd love to see some of the creative things that you guys come up with using some of our catch lines that we use and celebrate your self-expression and your art. So we're going to have a place for that on the website. If that's something you'd be interested in, let us know. And I'm going to get like a sign-up sheet or something so that we actually launch it.
Yeah.
And we can do some fun things also with prizes, and I don't know, maybe even let you guys vote over it. I'm like, how does one do all these things? So,
one more win, one more question, and then we wrap up.
Yeah.
Okay, one more win. Hello, I just wanted to send a thank you note. I had a medical episode last night where I had sudden vision loss and difficulty breathing.
Scary.
I was in a state of shock, and I remembered your video on box breathing. I focused on that breathing technique, which helped me stay stable until medical help arrived. Thank you for that video and all of the work you do. You're helping people even more than you realize.
I love that. That was a special one for sure.
This doesn't count as a question. Someone asked if that's you in your wedding dress behind us in the background. It's not her wedding dress. It is a wedding dress that she modeled. This is my work office, and the photographer gave us that print, and Alicia's like,
No.
what am I going to do with a giant print of myself? And I'm like, I want it.
No, it's actually a longer story than that. So it was the photographer that was like, hey, can you model this? And I was like, sure, that sounds like fun. She got the dresses from a bridal store in our town, right? But it happened to be our next door neighbor's bridal store, which was fun. So she actually got that print and gifted it to the bridal shop that our next door neighbor owned. And they didn't know that I had done that. And so they were like, oh, that's fun. They ended up, selling and closing the bridal shop years later. And they were like, hey, do you want this print? And they brought it over. And I was like, they're like, we didn't feel like it was right to just throw it away because it was you. And I was like, okay. And then I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing with this. And that's when you were like,
I want it.
And it's hung in his office ever since.
Yep.
And no, here's the really funny part of that story. Jono is the more sentimental person. He makes sure that pictures are taken.
I do the family videos. And
yeah. And
you can go to my Jonathan Decker YouTube channel and watch our family travel videos.
You can watch so many videos about our family.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have never printed any of our wedding pictures. You have never printed any of our wedding pictures. The only picture of me in a wedding dress that has ever been in our house, our entire marriage, is that one.
Listen,
and it's not our wedding.
Well, I have the wedding pictures digitally in a video montage for us to enjoy.
We have them digitally, but that's the really funny part about that picture.
Yeah, this is not even from our wedding.
It's not my wedding dress. It's not our wedding day.
Ow!
And we've literally never, anyways. So.
Well, since we got that, I don't have a reason to print wedding pictures.
Yeah, no need. No need.
Okay.
And these are the quirky stories of our lives. So thanks for being a part of it.
Last question. There was, whoa, now people are, can you use a martial arts class as a form of therapy? Yes.
Yes, and I do all the time.
Yes.
Krav Maga is my favorite.
Thoughts, last question. There was another one about protective order against parents. I'm actually going to ask you just to message me. You can DM me on Facebook or Instagram about that one, and I'll talk about that. That one's a bit more private, and I also can't do that one off the hip. The last question is thought on never having dated in your 20s. So one of my favorite, actually my all-time favorite TV show is Firefly. And it's funny because I'm personally more morally conservative. I'm a God person, and waited until marriage. I was abstinent until marriage, things like that. That's personally. But when it comes to my interactions with other people, I'm very welcoming and accepting of you do you. Like, what do you think is right? What do you feel is right? What are your boundaries? What are your desires? What are your
Right.
I'm not a sexually judgmental or otherwise judgmental person. There's a character on Firefly who is a companion. It's a nice word for escort, but she chooses her own clients, and it's more of a spiritual process, kind of like a geisha, right? And there's a young man who his father hires.
That's not exactly what a geisha is, but that's okay.
But his father hires her so that his son can be a man and not be a virgin anymore, right? And it's a broadcast television show, so there's not actually a sex scene, but it shows him in bed afterwards. And he says, I thought I would feel different. I thought that I would feel like I'm a man now. And she says, you were already a man. She says, there's nothing shameful about being a virgin. And she says, it's just another state of being, which I thought was really powerful. And just like there's also nothing shameful about losing your virginity, losing your virginity about now you've had sex, right? I'm actually going to discard being a virgin or losing your virginity. It's just another state of being, right? And I feel the same way about dating and marriage. When you ask the question, what are your thoughts on never having dated in your 20s? There may be a tendency to see yourself as a loser or abnormal because people could pass judgment on that. Or go ahead.
The conversation about dating and sexual activity, then instead of what's socially acceptable, right, wrong, what does it mean? It's like, well, what does it mean to you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because throughout history, there have been so many social norms that have shifted over time about dating, about marriage, and then we judge people based on whatever the norm is, and even the norm within a certain community,
well, and then
or a certain family.
It's projected onto a person, and then it's tied to their worth,
right?
Which is
or they tie it to their worth, or others tie it to their worth,
right?
Because their actual worth isn't tied to it,
right? Which, in my opinion, is where that gets ugly, right? Yeah. Because your worth isn't associated with whether you date. Your worth isn't associated with your sexual activity. Your worth is innate, and you get to decide for you what's most supportive and what's most serving. And if you make that decision, and then later in the future you make a different decision because your past decision wasn't serving you, awesome. Yeah. And so the question is, well, do you want to be dating? And then what steps do you want to take to have more dating opportunities?
Right. And if you're struggling to have dating opportunities, that may come down to what the people around you value.
Yeah.
Again, it has nothing to do with your worth.
Yeah.
And so again, if you're not dating in your 20s, it's just another state of being. There's nothing shameful or wrong with it. You're not lesser. You're not diminished. You're not abnormal. It's just where things are at for you. And it may not be where things are always at for you. So there we go.
Awesome. Well, we got to wrap up. As much as we would love to stay and hang out, because
we do love to stay and hang out. Yeah. And there's there's always more questions we have time to answer. Again, I know I keep bringing this up. It's because we've created this to serve you, to help you, as a low cost option. Go to mendedlight.com/25. And right now that's $25 a month at the time of this live.
Yeah. That is the launch price.
That is the launch price.
It will go up in the future.
Right.
But if you sign up during the launch price, you do get grandfathered in, and
it'll stay that price.
And we've got
forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or until we die.
Oh wow, that was. Anyway, so in 15 minutes we have another live. And on our membership lives, you have the option, like we do chat and stuff, and then you have the option if you want to coming up and do
come on stage. You can
come on stage, come on screen.
We'll turn your camera on and we'll interact with you personally.
Yeah, yeah. And so, what's the theme of the live? And we do two. One's a book discussion and one's a live Q&A. But we do 2 live events a month.
At the end of every month, we hop on and we do our monthly book club discussion.
But today's a live Q&A.
Today is what gives your life meaning.
And that's the theme.
And that's the theme of the Q&A. The theme of the Q&As are guidelines more than actual rules, because we actually answer any question.
Right. But it just gives us a structure, to work within.
But we want to celebrate you. Thank you for being part of our Mended Light community. You make such a difference in the lives of people around you. Both in our community, just in the comments, the things that you share with one another. I've been watching you guys support each other. You've asked questions that we didn't have time to answer, and everyone jumped in and offered their help and support, and it was beautiful.
I love the ripples of good, and I love healthy, healing places on the internet, because the internet in general is not known for that. So thank you for being a part of a community that is.
Yes, we love you. We'll see you next month. Go to mendedlight.com/25 and sign up for our membership, or go to mendedlight.com if you need actual personal support with a counselor. We have a team that we have selected and trained that are here to help you. We love you. We'll see you next month.
Bye, guys.